So you're at the grocery store, casually tossing that easy, convenient yellow snack into your cart. Well, you probably have absolutely no idea that the banana you eat every single day is, technically speaking, on life support. Honestly, as a botanist, it's kind of maddening to watch people just blindly consume a food product with zero understanding of the incredibly precarious, highly artificial nature of what they're actually holding. You probably think it's just a normal fruit doing normal fruit things out in nature, right? Well, you are completely in the dark. In this explainer, we're going to fix that. We are diving into the impending agricultural doom that I like to call Bananageddon, and we'll uncover why the world's most popular snack is literally trapped at a biological standstill.
Okay, let's get right into this. If I told you that the Cavendish banana, sitting in your kitchen right this second, hasn't reproduced naturally for thousands of years, would you still confidently call it fresh produce? I mean, it's a serious question, because the wild reality is every single Cavendish banana on Earth is virtually a clone of one single plant, a plant that was brought to a greenhouse in England almost 2 centuries ago, back in 1828. You aren't eating a dynamic, naturally evolving piece of nature. You're eating a genetic copy. It's essentially the ghost of an individual plant that lived before your great-grandparents were even born.
And honestly, the misconceptions do not stop there. People constantly talk about banana trees. Well, scratch that because there is no such thing. Botanically speaking, a banana plant isn't a tree at all. It is actually the world's largest herb. That thick, woody-looking trunk you always see in pictures, completely fake. It's really a pseudostem, which is just a massive column of tightly wrapped leaves holding itself up. And to make this botanical absurdity even better, the fruit you peel every morning isn't scientifically classified as a regular fruit. It's a berry. So let's get the basics straight right out of the gate. You are not eating fruit from a tree, you are eating massive yellow berries grown on a giant jungle herb. Now, there is a massive, stark contrast between natural reality and the industrial illusion we've created. Most of us just assume bananas were always these smooth, creamy, perfectly convenient things. But they definitely weren't. Natural, dynamic wild bananas are packed with hard, marble-sized seeds. In fact, they contain so many seeds and so little actual flesh that they are practically inedible to humans. To get the banana you know and love, our ancestors essentially had to wait for a rare 1 in a million genetic accident to happen out in the jungle, a mutation that just happened to produce a seedless fruit. The Cavendish isn't natural design. It's a fragile, industrial mutant that humanity literally just stumbled upon.
Let's look at the exact biological glitch that causes this, because it's absolutely crucial. It's called a triploid mutation. While normal, healthy, naturally reproducing organisms have 2 sets of chromosomes, the Cavendish mutant has 3. This genetic imbalance means the plant is completely, irrevocably sterile. It can't produce viable seeds. It can't produce pollen. As a botanist, I really cannot stress enough how crazy this is. This specific mutation makes the fruit delicious and super easy for us to eat, sure, but it leaves the plant frozen at an evolutionary standstill. It cannot adapt, it cannot change, it has absolutely no way to defend itself against new threats because it literally cannot reproduce.
So the obvious question is, if this massive herb can't make seeds, how do we have billions of them growing all over the world? Well, the answer is human intervention. And I mean crude, mutilation-based human intervention. Since the plant is completely sterile, farmers are forced to use a process called vegetative propagation. Step 1, you find an existing plant. Step 2, you literally take a machete, hack into the base of it, and chop off a root sprout, also known as a sucker. Step 3, you shove that severed chunk of plant into the dirt. It then grows into an exact genetic copy of the parent. We are essentially forcing the survival of this species by artificially replanting the exact same individual organism over and over and over again for centuries.
Now, if you're thinking that farming billions of identical clones sounds like a foolproof agricultural strategy, history has a really harsh lesson for you. Before the 1950s, the Cavendish wasn't even the main banana in the grocery store. The world ate the Gros Michel, a variety that was richer, sweeter, and honestly far superior. But just like the Cavendish, every single Gros Michel was a genetic clone. And exactly what you would expect to happen to a uniform, defenseless global crop happened. A single fungus, a strain of Panama disease, swept across the globe and systematically wiped out almost every commercial plantation on Earth. The richer, sweeter banana your grandparents loved went completely extinct as a commercial crop. Today, it's literally just a laboratory curiosity. And this brings us right to the sheer madness of our current situation. When the Gros Michel died off, the industry panicked and immediately swapped it out for the Cavendish. Not because the Cavendish tasted better, it definitely didn't, but simply because it happened to be resistant to that specific 1950s fungus. But remember, the Cavendish is also a static clone, which makes it completely vulnerable to other diseases, specifically one called black sigatoka. To keep these clones from rotting out in the fields, commercial growers have to spray Cavendish plantations from airplanes with toxic fungicides up to 40 times a year. Let that sink in. 40 times a year. The staggering economic and environmental costs of maintaining this disease-prone monoculture are just off the charts. Really let this hit home for a second. We are eating a plant kept on permanent chemical life support. This intense, totally unsustainable use of fungicides isn't normal farming. It is virtually equivalent to modern chemical warfare. It's a desperate, relentless chemical assault required solely because we insist on cultivating a genetically defenseless clone that cannot evolve its own immune system. Make no mistake, if we stopped flying those chemical spray planes tomorrow, the entire global banana industry would instantly begin to collapse.
And unfortunately for us, the chemical fortress we built is already failing. There's a new apex predator in the agricultural world. Enter Tropical Race 4, or TR4. This is a new, incredibly devastating strain of Panama disease, and it is pretty much the cancer of the banana world. It is currently tearing through plantations in Asia and Africa. And here is the truly terrifying part. Unlike black sigatoka, TR4 is completely unstoppable by any known pesticide or chemical spray. Nothing works. It rots the plant from the inside out. And it is so insanely virulent that it can spread to an entirely new farm via a single gram of infested dirt stuck to the bottom of a worker's boot.
Because every single Cavendish on the planet shares the exact same DNA, every single Cavendish has zero evolutionary defense against TR4. None. Which means the total collapse of our current banana supply is not just some vague, distant possibility, it is a biological certainty. It's actively happening right now. It's only a matter of time before this disease crosses the ocean and fully infests the final major export strongholds over in Latin America, and when it does, the Cavendish will absolutely join the Gras Michel in the graveyard of commercial extinction. So you might be thinking, well, the scientists will just breed a replacement, right? Problem solved. But the reality of actually doing that highlights a monumental, almost comical impossibility. In a massive, desperate experiment to find a new resistant variety, researchers spent an entire year hand-pollinating 30,000 banana plants. From that unbelievable effort, they harvested and literally sifted through 440 tons of mashed-up fruit. Do you know how many seeds they found? 15. Just 15 viable seeds from 440 tons of fruit. It is an excruciating, high-stakes industrial grind trying to force a sterile plant to reproduce before the impending deadline of TR4 wipes it out completely.
And you know what the most frustrating part of my job is? It isn't even the botany. It's you, the consumer. Because when scientists finally, miraculously managed to breed a disease-resistant hybrid, a banana that was totally safe from the fungus, humanity completely rejected it. Why? Because it didn't taste exactly like the Cavendish clone we've all been conditioned to expect. This new, resilient hybrid reportedly tasted a bit more like a traditional apple. So instead of adapting our palates and saving a major global food source, consumers stubbornly refused to buy it. We are so addicted to the highly specific flavor profile of a single dying clone that we actively reject the very biological innovations that could save the entire industry.
It all points to just this absolute, unparalleled hubris in human agriculture. Think about what we did. We took a sterile forest mutant, turned it into a multi-billion-dollar global monoculture, and now we're watching it collapse because it can't evolve. That is exactly our situation. We built a massive foundational pillar of our global food system on the back of a fragile biological relic, a genetic glitch that has been trapped at a total evolutionary standstill since the last ice age. We really thought we could just outsmart nature with machetes and chemical sprays, and we were entirely wrong.
So the next time you peel open that convenient yellow snack, I really want you to stop and remember what you are actually holding. You are looking at a berry grown on a giant herb. You are eating a sterile, genetically frozen clone that is entirely dependent on human mutilation and literal chemical warfare just to survive. And you are witnessing a multi-billion-dollar industry blindly marching straight into a total biological bananageddon simply because it has entirely forgotten how to evolve. The next time you're standing there in the grocery store, you really have to ask yourself, are you prepared to watch your favorite snack go entirely extinct in your lifetime? Now that's absolutely wild.